Wait, who are
Hmm.
you? I'm expecting
Um, I'm
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 expecting
Michael. Who are you? And what are you doing
Mike.
on my phone?
Excuse me, this is a recorded session for something important. I'm not going to spoil stuff, okay? This is recorded session for
Oh,
something
wait, wait, wait,
important. So
wait,
could you
wait.
please
What's so important?
I mean
What's
I
so
mean
important? What are you talking about?
me and my Michael, the one from my universe, we were going to talk about Spider-Man, but I think he's late. I don't know. Who are you waiting for?
Hmm. So what you're saying is our universes are crossing
Collide.
over, right?
Oh.
Our universes are colliding. So do you think I could fill in for your universe's Michael? Would that be all right?
Oh, that'll be all right if you're okay with me filling in for, I think, who's over you're waiting for. Are you waiting for me here?
Well, I mean, I have a Mahir, and I can see in your profile here on my camera that your name is Mahir. I have a Mahir in my universe. He's like you, but much better looking. So,
Ah,
but
that's a
you can fill in.
lie.
That's okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Spider-Man No Way From Home trailer, second trailer actually, just dropped in yesterday, and we have talked to Mike and that Hathi Talks here to talk about that.
When it first got dropped, in the first like 6 hours, maybe 16 million views on YouTube. This movie is so anticipated. So many people are stoked to see it. I go to work and it's all the guys talk about. It's all anybody is talking about right now is this new Spider-Man movie that's coming out. So a lot of excitement there.
And being very honest, Spider-Man is one of those, because it started with Tobey Maguire and, Andrew Garfield. So it's
Mm-hmm.
right there, it touches those emotional strings that you have, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, it's crazy.
I went on Reddit, and people are like this. The Reddit is buzzing with conspiracy theories and questions and answers and follow-up questions about, well, you know what, Brazil and something and trailers and this and that and stuff that are happening is just beautiful. The universes are
Oh
colliding,
man.
and before the multiverse madness, Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse Madness, this is going to be the big movie.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, a lot's gonna happen here.
yeah, should we watch the trailer? Obviously, because of certain issues, we won't be able to show you the trailer, but well,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can react to it.
Copyright. We don't want
Yeah.
Sony to send their secret police knocking on our doors and whatever else. So, but yeah, no, let. I mean, we've both watched it, and I'm sure anybody watching this video has seen the trailer already. But let's see it again. Let's freshen it up a little bit.
Oh boy.
Lots to unpack. Lots to unpack.
Okay, starting off with a question that's right there, right there in front of us. What is your favorite? There's just top three moments that you were like, damn, 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 damn.
I mean, okay, well, one of them has got to be hearing Willem Dafoe's voice as the Green Goblin, hearing that sinister sort of with that oh, what's it called? When it's raspy, gravelly, the this I forget what the technical term is, but just hearing that voice and seeing Green Goblin there, like waves of nostalgia, of course. Huge moment there for me. What about you? What was one of yours?
Starting with "Hello, Peter," and then moving on
Yeah,
to "You're not Peter Parker." That was good.
you're not Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
subtle nod to Captain America because I can see that the Statue of Liberty is being rebuilt because there is this entire shield there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is a subtle nod to Captain America, and
Could be. Could be.
yeah, and there is also the brand new Electro, the new look that he has. It's I think it's straight out of comics if I'm
Yes.
correct. The
It's
the
still
thing
Jamie
he
Foxx, but
yeah
it's much more in line with the classic comic book look. And
yes
he's more of a character now. From what we can tell, he's more of a character, more of a person now, and less a force of nature or whatever, like he was in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where there wasn't a whole lot of character to him, and he was just all rage and electricity to the point where he didn't even look human anymore. Yeah.
true
Um, I'm I have my own thoughts about
okay
this and all that, but I think maybe we should hear a more positive. Not that mine won't be positive, but
yeah
I'm a critic by nature, and so obviously I'm going to speak to those parts of it. But maybe you want to talk about how awesome this is going to be just from what you can see here.
I can totally say that this is going to be big because this is going to start off I, an entire new sequence is what Marvel and Sony are planning because first things first, the Merc sale is going to be off the roofs because Spider-Man itself as a brand is a big brand. Even standalone,
That is true.
Spider-Man sells more than any other Avenger. Now, obviously, Tony
That is
Stark
true.
and because Tony Stark and Captain America have gotten a more a secure footing in the sales, but Spider-Man still
Sure.
is huge.
Hmm.
But okay, the one subtle nod to Spider-Man's arc in general was May falling. So
Yes.
Tobey Maguire
Yes.
had May fall, Mary Jane. Sorry, not May. Mary Jane falling.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh, I think there was the most gripping scene for Amazing Spider-Man 2 was when I think her name is Grace.
Grace.
When
Yeah,
played by Emma Stone, wonderful, wonderful
yeah,
job that she did when she fell, and that
yeah.
scene just that got me. That was rough.
It was rough for Spider-Man as well because the moment we see him go into this denial phase where he's just like I don't want to be a Spider-Man. I just can't be a hero. And
Yeah.
then the ending sequence comes and you're like, ah,
Hmm.
satisfying. It's so it's yeah. So Gwen dying was not Grace. I think Gwen Stacy.
Gwen, that was it.
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen,
Gwen
yeah,
Stacy. Yeah.
that's
So
it.
it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. But yeah,
Hmm.
let's talk about observations because uh,
I.
Dr. Otto Octavius has,
Hmm.
I think, Stark Tech on him because of the
Hmm.
Dark Crimson on his claws and on the arms. It actually
Okay.
seems like he has Stark Tech on him.
I think that's a bit of a reach. I think that that's just more a more modernized tactical sort of look that they have for him for this movie
But
specifically.
how do you justify calling someone from the past, okay, and then giving them new tech? So that's
Well, I
where
mean, that's
my
where we
entire
see
theory
Electro
starts.
as well with his new get up and stuff. I think that what they're trying to do is strike a balance between the two, where it's not just resurrecting these dead characters from previous movies just to rehash them. They're trying to. I feel like that's very much what they are doing, but they are trying to not show that. They're trying to say, okay, this isn't a rehash. See, look, he has a different outfit, he's a slightly different character, this and that, however else they choose to phrase it. I One observation while we're on the subject of Otto Octavius, there was a scene very briefly where Sandman and lizard and reptile and
No, lizard,
lizard. Okay,
lizard.
lizard. No,
Yeah,
reptiles from Mortal Kombat. What am I talking about? So
yeah.
Lizard, Sandman, and Electro are attacking, but it looks like Otto Octavius is fighting them, which I think is again kind of rehashing from the original Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, where in the end Otto Octavius isn't necessarily a bad guy. He saves the city. He saves New York, and he pulls his own invention into the water and sacrifices himself doing it. So I think we're definitely going to see that play out again here, where he starts off as a bad guy and then turns out to be a good guy in the end. There's nothing new under the sun there.
That's true. That seems plausible.
Yeah.
That actually seems plausible given the complex character that Doc Ock is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he is a complex character. He's not like, he's not your textbook villain who
That is
just has
true.
to be bad.
That is true. Well, I mean, he's motivated by his in the original movie, he's motivated by his creative genius and his desire to like leave his mark on the world, right? And then the loss of
Yeah.
his wife sort of tortures him and everything, but he's not inherently a bad guy. Like you said, he's not a textbook villain. He's not out for vengeance or whatever. Everything he does that's bad is a means to an end. He steals money and robs banks and stuff so that he can fund his experiments. That's his whole point.
Fair.
Yeah.
J. Jonah Jameson is back. I was excited to see him when J. Jonah Jameson was back, and I was like, this is so good. Not just the old villains, this is. It just feels nice. I'm so happy. I'm actually very happy.
No, yeah,
Uh,
that's
I
definitely a
have
good one.
one thing that I don't understand is that Doctor Strange
Mm-hmm.
broke a spell so that everybody will forget. In the first trailer, he said even the people you told, and even he said, Spider-Man asks that well, will Mary Jane forget? Will MJ forget? Will May forget? Will my friend forget? And he'll be like, yeah, everybody means everybody. But in this trailer, we can totally see that like both of his friends still remember who he is,
Or
and
or
that
he
he's
had to
Spider-Man.
tell them again. He might have had to
Ah,
tell them a second time. I think you're right, though. I think that he botched the spell and he made it so that his friends could know, but it also like literally tore holes in the fabric of space time and whatever else.
holes in the space and time continuum has been a topic of discussion since I think Loki initially started it in the TV series.
Yeah. They're
Okay, so
they've been hinting at it for a while. And just to touch on what you were saying earlier about Spider-Man being so huge, before the Avengers started to take off, before Iron Man was made back in 2008, before all that, Spider-Man was the guy. He was Marvel's number one seller. He grossed the most dollars at the box office. He was the face of Marvel at the time. And he was Marvel's only competition against DC's Batman and Superman and those kinds of movies. DC was cranking these great movies out, and Spider-Man was the only card Marvel had. And then, 10 years of the MCU culminating with Endgame and just this massive climax. And now people are wondering, oh, well, where do we go now? How can it possibly get any better? And I feel like Marvel is going back to square one, where they're like, hey, remember when Spider-Man was our best hero? And now they're putting all their eggs in one basket. Will it work out for them? That remains to be seen. But it's clearly working right
true.
now because a lot of people are excited to see
Yeah.
this. Myself included, I will admit.
Even me, because I when they said 29th November tickets are going to be open, it's Spider-Man Monday. I'm like, guess who's going to be first in line? I mean,
Oh,
I'm
heck
going to
yeah.
be there to book the
Mm-hmm.
tickets.
Yep.
Um, talking about a small conspiracy, if you'd like to hear, because this is something that I really want to put out in the universe and I want to see it manifest into reality.
Please.
Um, so I feel because Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have confirmed that they are not in the movie, they are not Spider-Man anymore, they are not Spider-Man anymore, or the Amazing Spider-Man. But there are photos that show them on set. Okay, with the new and changed avatars and the things that we have seen in Into the Spider-Verse, the thing that I can think about is that the reason why Otto Octavius has a more refined tech, the reason why Electro has this new outfit, Lizard is more refined because we see him jumping up a little bit more. Sandman is
Mhm.
at a more powerful version of himself than we saw it in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. What I can conclude is that these villains were taken out just before they knew that they were about to die at the hands of Spider-Man, and before they were dying, Strange unfortunately, not even not voluntarily, took them out of their timeline. Something that we saw in
Mhm.
What If, took them
Right,
out of their
yes.
timeline and brought them here on Earth. I think 616. I think, are we still dealing with 616, or I don't know which Earth right now we are in.
Yeah,
So
I'm not
he,
sure either, to be honest.
yeah, so he brought them here, and they only know one person. They only know the spider suit, the emblem.
Yeah,
So they know that this is the guy who's going to kill me, and they know because it's their last moment, right? So that's why
yeah.
they are attacking him. And because
Mhm.
Otto Octavius, while dying, he was a good guy. So maybe this is not the Otto Octavius, because Otto Octavius does not have to be the same face in every single timeline. Into the Spider Verse, it was a woman. Doc Ock was a woman.
Okay, that is very true.
So I feel like instead of rehashing the past, they are setting up the future. So they are bringing in new Spider-Man. Miles
An,
Morales might come into the picture. Peter B.
an
Parker might come into the picture.
interesting concept. Interesting
Yeah?
concept. Well, now, and this brings me to a relatively unknown character in the trailer. Looked like he was in a sort of black Spider-Man getup. However, he might have been
Yeah.
in a black Spider-Man getup, but he also had the rings around his forearm, indicating that he's a sorcerer as well.
Yes.
Who the heck is this? Like, is it our Spider-Man that we know now, who has a temporary spell that that Doctor Strange has given him? Is he a new character pulled in from another alternate universe? I know virtually nothing about this character, and I think
But
that is going to be one of the key elements of the movie, is learning who that is and how that figure plays a role in the rest of it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
also think that this movie is conveniently leaving out anything from Spider-Man 3, except for Sandman. Sandman is the only thing from Spider-Man 3. Everything else, the quote unquote Venom, because it's not really Venom in Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. Not the Venom from the comics, not the big hulking scary Venom that we have now with Tom Hardy. Which also Venom Let There Be Carnage. I don't know if you saw that yet, but the post credit scene showed that Venom and Spider-Man are connected. So Venom is now confirmed as being in the MCU, which means we could see Venom in a Spider-Man movie, either this one or one coming up. Um, and if they continue with a multiverse thing, what are we going to see? Tom Hardy's Venom and Venom from Spider-Man 3 in the same movie? I
Battling
just
it. Oh.
they're picking and choosing the best elements of Spider-Man, which I totally get, because I mean Sandman was a very strong element from Spider-Man 3, and they keeping him was a good call. Venom not so much.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you think Green Goblin is William Dafoe? Are you sure?
I am fairly certain it's Willem Dafoe. I mean, they're bringing back Jamie Foxx for Electro. They're bringing back the actor who plays Dr. Otto Octavius. Why would they not bring in Willem Dafoe? And that voice,
That's Willem Dafoe.
I am 99% sure that it's Willem Dafoe. I haven't seen any news releases or press releases. I haven't heard an announcement saying, okay, he's confirmed in it or not. I'm just going purely off the trailer, and that voice, that's
That's
Willem
Willem
Dafoe.
Dafoe. But that raises the question that is it for Green Goblin or is it just a standalone voice? Because Green Goblin, there were two Green Goblins, one his son and Willem Dafoe, right?
Well,
So
I mean, if you
which
look at
they
the
haven't,
outfit that he had, if you look at the outfit and the glider,
yeah,
that's classic Green Goblin. That's Willem Dafoe Green Goblin. Um,
yeah. The
his
second one had a
son
bigger
had like the
glider, like a larger
surfboard.
glider.
Yeah, his son had like the surfboard glider, which was interesting. And yeah, and I mean that would be a little too conflicting, I think, because Green Goblin's son Harry was really good friends with Peter Parker, and in the end, once again, a Spider-Man villain turns out to be a good guy and helps Spider-Man take on Venom and Sandman. Um, so I don't think we'll see a younger Green Goblin. I think we'll only see Willem Dafoe's.
That is interesting, and that fits. Like instead of maybe thinking of another parallels, I think that actually fits. Um, what do you think? What do you think? Like, what are your observations that you'd like to share?
Well, we talked earlier about universes colliding. And if I may quote a famous scientist, that when two objects collide, there is always damage of a collateral nature. And I think that there could be collateral damage from this movie. I think short term, we're going to see a lot of success. It's going to do extremely well at the box office. People are going to rant and rave about it, and it's going to be very exciting. In the long term, I think this is going to damage the MCU overall because we're rehashing old Spider-Man villains and characters in order to create new content. And that to me signals that they're running out of ideas. How do we top Endgame? How do we top 10 years of hype? Oh, I know. Let's go even further back for the hype.
Yeah,
The original Spider-Man was 2002. That was almost 20 years ago. So they're relying on that kind of hype. And of course, this is going to appeal more to our generation than to the younger generation because we grew up with Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, and then we saw Andrew Garfield, and now we see Tom Holland. I almost blanked on his name. There are so many British Toms with an H as a last name. You've got Tom Hardy, Tom
oh,
Hiddleston,
yeah,
Tom. It's ridiculous.
yes,
And then there are other
it's
Tom
ridiculous.
H's in Hollywood. Tom
Yeah,
Hanks. It's stupid.
ah,
Stop with the Toms. All right, somebody go as Thomas, please. This is getting out of hand. I thought
just
Michael
go
was a
old
common
school.
name. I thought
Yeah,
Michael was a
no,
common name.
Tom.
This is stupid. Okay. That I'm getting off topic here.
Yeah,
If
um,
if they continue to rehash all these old characters and old movie ideas to create new content, then I think we're going to see the MCU fizzle out. And maybe it could continue strong in TV series. WandaVision was actually very good. And I know Falcon Winter Soldier did very well. A lot of really good reactions there. I thought it was okay, but more people liked
same
it.
actually.
But I think that we could be seeing, and this is a prediction here for me, I think we could be seeing the beginning of the end of this huge effect and movement that the MCU and has had on Hollywood and the grip that it's had on cinema for the past decade or so. I think we're going to see that come to an end over the next little while.
Yeah, because if you look at
Unless
it,
Marvel comes up with
Venom did
some new
not do
stuff.
that. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But I think like both of us and like all the Spider-Man fan out there, they are not looking at internet at the moment, and they are not
Yeah.
looking for any content because they know for sure that something or someone is going to spoil everything for
Well,
them.
this trailer did exactly that. It's left
Yeah.
very little to the imagination. I mean, we know so much about the plot of the movie now. We know that Peter Parker goes to Doctor Strange and says, "Hey, help me wipe everyone's memory." We know that the spell goes wrong. We know that it tears holes in the walls of the universe, letting in other Spider-Man villains, conspicuously only Spider-Man villains and not villains for any other superhero. I wonder why that is. Anyway,
Yeah.
anyway, so we know so much about what's going to happen in this movie that I can only hope there's still some sort of dramatic reveal, which could be Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield coming in as
Yeah,
a
I
Spider-Man
know.
team
I
up.
know.
I I'm almost expecting it, honestly. I think it's a pretty safe bet.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true because that's you know that these are the cards that will work. Like this is something that will get people buzzing and like maybe we might see Amazing Spider-Man 3 that we actually hope to see and like hope to be released because I was in love with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Really?
I am one of those guys who yes, I loved it. Okay, Andrew Garfield for me is the most Spider-Man a Spider-Man can be.
I okay. Now this brings up a very important point, and I'd like to break this down.
Okay, hold on. For me, Andrew Garfield, Tobey
Mhm.
Maguire, Tom Holland. So this is how this is me.
Okay, all right. So I like to think of it this way. Tobey Maguire was an excellent Peter Parker, and his Spider-Man was okay. I think Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man, but not a good Peter Parker. And I'm going to explain why. I'm going to tell you why. Because Peter Parker, one, he's a kid. Two, he's a nerd. He's a geek. He's awkward. He's whatever. And three, and this is the most important, he's a social pariah. He's an outcast. He doesn't really have a lot of friends. Now, Andrew Garfield fits one of those criteria. He's kind of an outcast, but he's not so much an outcast as he is a loner. But he's too cool to be Peter Parker. He skateboards. He's got great hair. He's the school photographer. That's he's grim and broody a little bit, but he's not a nerd. He's not. I mean,
Yeah.
what? What? I don't see him as a good Peter Parker. For me, Tom Holland is the best of both worlds. His Peter Parker is strong. His Spider-Man is great, and I like him because he's very boyish. He's a kid, He's in over his head. He's learning. He's awkward, and it's so much fun to watch.
So what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are I am excited to see the movie. I am cautiously optimistic about being surprised by it. I think it's going to be good. Well, I know it's going to be good. I'm not sure if I'll be surprised because the trailer did show a lot. But I am excited and I am also hopeful about where the MCU goes from here. I don't know if it'll be necessarily good or bad, but I am excited to see what happens.
I'm happy that Spider-Man 3 Far From Home is coming. And there are a lot of theories, a lot of speculations, but I really think that all the footage that they have shown us is at least like like I know what the movie is about,
Yeah,
and I can predict. It's become more predictable for me, which is something that I dislike.
me too.
But I understand because did you see the Brazilian footage that came out that clearly shows Lizard being punched in the air, and I'm like, ah, come on, you had one job. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, by the way, John Cena is confirmed for Spider-Man No Way from Home. No Way Home.
Which I am kind of confused about. I have no idea who he's supposed to be.
Because he's supposed to be the person who hit Lizard because you can't see him.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
Okay.
so that's the joke that they have, like, because you can't see John Cena, right?
You can't see
So
me.
so they are like, oh yeah, you can't see him, right? So he punched, and it's
Oh
just
my
one of those memes
gosh.
out there, which was just
That's
even
good.
John Cena laughed at that. Yeah,
That is
but
good. Wow.
I mean, there were so many parallels that Spider-Man could have done. There were so many things that Spider-Man could have done instead of going to Doctor Strange. He could have gone to Nick Fury and asked for his friend Skrull to the entire species Skrull to just come there and, like, impersonate him. So there is one Spider-Man and then there is one Peter Parker. These things
Sure.
could have been the plot going forward, but I'm happy that there is a possibility of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming into this particular Spider-Man. So I'm really really happy, and that just makes me ecstatic about the new Spider-Man. But yeah, 29th of November is the day everybody will be killing each other to get those hot and fresh tickets to
I've
Spider-Man.
I've got a landmark membership too, so I'm gonna be getting a jump on that deadline. So if you like, I can
Yeah.
secure you some
I'm just going to give
seats.
you a call after this. Yeah. I'm just gonna give you a call after this particular video. Beg you to help me.
I got you, buddy.
But But thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And I love it when I see someone who is that big of a fan as I am for, like, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Me too, man. Thanks
Also,
so much for having me, and I hope we get to do this again sometime.
we for sure will. But also, I kind of want Deadpool to come in Spider-Man, given the relationship that Deadpool and Spider-Man have in the comics and in the animated series. It's just
Well,
I am a big Deadpool fan. I
I
mean,
know Ryan Reynolds is taking a bit of a sabbatical from movies at the moment. Wants to spend time with his family, so it might be a while before you see that kind of collaboration. But hey, anything is possible, you know?
I mean, even Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are taking a sabbatical from being Spider-Man, and we are quite sure that they are in the, so it's just one of those fanboy things that I really want to happen, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really glad that we
Yeah.
were able to do this. And well, if you are new to this channel, please like, share, subscribe to Talk to Mike. The link is down
Thank you
below.
so much, man. And hey, Happy Talks, like, subscribe, follow this guy because he's worth following.
Thank you so much.